Victorian Britain became the world's first industrial superpower. And as the country thrived, London, the beating heart of empire, became the world's richest city. But just as it is now, Victorian London was a city divided by extremes of wealth and want. This is the story of one poor community living in London's East End. In the heart of modern Stratford, a Victorian slum has been recreated, and a group of 21st century people are moving in.
Absolutely awful.
I'm just a bit dumbstruck.
Like the original slum dwellers, they'll have to work to keep a roof over their heads.
It's absolutely shattering.
Hey, for the Tati!
And put food on the table.
I'm starving. That's what's making me a bit emotional, to be honest.
They'll explore the lives of their own East End ancestors.
I needed to be here. I need to find these people.
I wish they could be here to see me do this.
Discover the history of their trades.
So this is a workshop, yeah?
And experience firsthand what life was like.
You will call me Mum.
For those at the bottom of the economic pile.
If they were disabled, they couldn't do it. They didn't eat. They died.
They'll live through 5 decades of turbulent history.
Look at the newspaper!
From the 1860s, when the poor knew their place.
It's just another nail in the coffin. You might as well be dead.
Through depressions.
How many people have to live like this all their life?
Revolutions.
I am proud to be an East End suffragette.
And seismic social change.
Jelly!
The Irish are moving up.
To the turn of the century.
Death of the Queen.
When the people who powered Britain's industrial success finally found their voice.
The poor will not be trodden on.
Power to the people.
And the foundations were laid for lasting change.
Victory!
This is the story of how 250,000 slum dwellers in the East End changed our attitude to poverty forever. This is The Slum. Fueled by the Industrial Revolution, in 1860, London's economy was booming. Here in the West End, the city as we know it now was taking shape. There was new housing, grand railway stations, and the streets were filled with smart shops, all showcasing London's wealth. As today, people came to London in search of work. In fact, the population tripled in just 50 years. But this was a city divided. For the first time, geographical lines were drawn between those enjoying the nation's wealth in the West and those who weren't in the East. Hidden away from public view, people live lives of almost unimaginable poverty, packed into dilapidated buildings and the crammed courtyards of the East End slums. This was the industrial heart of the city. The air here would have been heavily polluted by the tanneries and by the gasworks. But despite that, people came from all over, desperately in search of work. The 3 miles between Aldgate and Bow held one of the highest concentrations of working poor in Britain. This was the underbelly of the Industrial Revolution. This corner of modern Stratford, a stone's throw from the Olympic Park, has been taken back to the 1860s. The slum was a microcosm, a mixture of skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled workers, all living together in tumble-down terraces and tenements. Recreated from historical accounts of slums, like the notorious, deprived Old Nickel in Shoreditch, this tenement building typifies the abject poverty which was rife in Victorian cities just over a century ago. From the smallest, barest rooms at the top of the building to larger, more expensive dwellings at the bottom. People got by with the bare minimum. The courtyard houses a single communal water pump, a stove and shared privies. There are businesses here too. A lodging house known as the Doss House for those who couldn't afford to rent a room. And a small shop, the lifeblood of the slum community. Now, a new group of residents are moving in to bring the forgotten world of the Victorian poor back to life.
It looks like a dungeon.
First to arrive is the Potter family.
God,
How dirty it is.
Lord.
So do you think you can live in this?
No. No.
Do you think you've got a choice?
No.
The Potters are a close-knit clan from Derby.
Fish and chips, come get it.
Mum Alison lives around the corner from Grandad Graham and Grandma Heather.
They're hot.
Heather's ancestors are from Bethnal Green in London's East End.
All my life I felt that my roots were not in Derby. A couple of years ago I started to search my ancestry, but it's more than just getting dates and names and numbers. I want to go back and I want to know the people.
I want to do it for Nan because it's like very, very important to her and it will help her learn more about our Victorian ancestors.
This is it.
Heavy door.
Oh my goodness.
Like many Victorian EastEnders, Heather's ancestors were unskilled workers who could only afford basic accommodation.
Another bed.
Oh.
The family of 5 will live in just one room. They have 2 beds, a table and chair, and little else. But even housing this austere would have cost a Victorian labourer over 1/3 of their weekly wage.
If we have this bed,
Right. Yep.
would you and the girls be okay with that one?
Yeah.
How are you going to sleep, though? Because there's 3 of you, isn't there?
Oh, we'll work it out
You
between
can go in
us.
the middle.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm just a bit dumbstruck, I think. I just think it's very sad that people had to live like this.
It's a bit bleak, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very bleak.
As well as unskilled workers, the East End was also home to many who had a trade. Moving into one of the larger dwellings downstairs is the Howarth family.
Oh my God.
Dad Russell is a tailor. As a skilled worker, he would have been able to afford double the Potter's rent. For that, they get the relative comfort of 2 rooms,
It's bigger than I thought.
tin bath, and, unlike their poorer neighbours, a small stove to cook their own food.
You can't cook with that.
Well, I'm going to have to. Look at the filth on it.
I know.
The filth on the walls. I just can't get my head around this is our home now.
For some, like the Howarths, the slums provided an opportunity of sorts. They had the skills and the means to make money. Others weren't so lucky.
Wow.
The slums were home to thousands of lone parents, usually widowed or abandoned women, with nowhere else to go.
What do you think, Saudi?
What's this?
That's just our bedding, I think. It's so dirty.
Shazida and her twins may be moving into the smallest room. But even so, finding the rent on one income will be tough.
Very basic, isn't it? Very basic.
Can't believe people have to live like this all their life.
In the 1860s, 90% of Victorians rented their homes. Now, if you were poor, you moved to an area like the East End, where you would rent a room rather than a whole house. The one advantage of living in an area like this is you didn't have to provide proof of employment or good character, as you would have had to do elsewhere. The slums drew people from the fringes of society. Low-paid workers, immigrants, even fallen aristocrats. Driven to the East End by hard times, poverty and misfortune sent people here by the thousand. There were very few safety nets. This was a time before welfare benefits, the NHS or the minimum wage. The poorest of all couldn't even afford to rent their own room. Some paid to sleep in other people's beds. Others opted for the Doss House. In 1860, 50,000 people had no option but to pay 4p a night to sleep in rows of what were known as coffin beds. In charge of this doss house is 39-year-old Andy Gardner from Oxfordshire.
It looks like Victorian flat pack.
Most slums were owned by absent landlords who employed local men like Andy to run the doss house and collect rent from the other tenants.
Oh, dear me. That's one way of ingratiating yourself with the group, isn't it? Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Give me your money. Or I'm going to kick you out your room.
As rent collector, Andy gets free accommodation.
Here we are, then.
But he'll need an income from the doss house or find other work to pay for food.
There's not a lot here. I've got something to keep warm, got somewhere to sit down and eat, somewhere to wash, somewhere to sleep. I mean, this is a lap of luxury, really, compared to the doss house.
The residents are exploring their new surroundings.
Oh, look at the mud everywhere. Lovely, I love it.
Lovely.
Love it. Hello. Hi.
And meeting their neighbours.
What's your room like? Bigger or smaller?
It's a lot smaller. I think it's half of this size.
Yeah.
Welcome. I'm your local rent man.
How are you?
I'm get the rolling pin ready.
You get the rolling pin ready. Otherwise, you'll be down here. Have you seen how they sleep in here?
No. Is this the doss house?
This is the doss house.
This is the doss house.
If you can't afford the coffin bed for 4 pence, you're like the other one. Do you want to sit down on the bench?
Okay. I like this.
Yep.
That is disgusting for a human being to actually even pay.
Well, it's either that or the street.
This is the tuppenny hangover, where people slept upright, supported only by a rope. Something the residents could experience if they failed to pay Andy at the end of the week.
So if you can't afford the rent on that day,
Yep.
would you come back again another day?
No.
So it's that day or nothing?
Other people would be waiting to go in there.
That's harsh.
Yeah. Very.
Really harsh.
Extremely harsh.
We've come to work then, won't you?
Right, you need to work really hard.
And you can't get us into debt.
No.
For the Victorian poor, keeping a roof over your head was the absolute priority. After that came food, and in the 1860s, food was surprisingly expensive. It consumed an average of 2/3 of a slum dweller's income. So, a reasonable living could be made from keeping the slum fed.
Ah, do we have a business?
A job which falls to Adrian and Wiebke Bird.
Oh.
Aha! We're going to be grocers.
Adrian and Wiebke have homes in rural Hertfordshire and Wales. Their family histories echo the mass migrations of the 19th century.
Migration's a really big theme in my own life, living in the States and then coming to the UK, and also in my parents' lives, growing up in Germany and migrating to the United States. I want to know what it was like for people to be moving from the countryside to the cities for opportunity.
In Victorian times, country folk were moving to towns in their droves, and handyman Adrian's passion for rural crafts should stand him in good stead.
I think I'm prepared. I think the skills I've got will be very well suited to the slum. I'm going to have to draw on all that I've learned over the last number of years to be able to keep us going and keep us fed.
Oh, my. Wow. Look at the wallpaper.
This is home.
With a shop and a room to rent, the Birds have the highest outgoings of all.
We're living in luxury.
But they also have a stove on which to cook and the fanciest furnishings. As shopkeepers, they have decent earning potential.
For a slum, this must have been one of the nicest places. This must have been the top of the heap.
I'm beginning to think we're probably doing OK.
Many slum dwellers had no way to cook for themselves.
Oh, that's rank. That's strong.
So shops like these were pivotal to the community.
Hello there. Come on in.
With most residents living day to day and hand to mouth, cash flow was a major problem.
What can we do for you guys this evening?
So slum shops sold them only what they could afford. Bread by the slice, tea by the spoonful, and small portions of hot food. They'd even rent a bowl and a spoon to eat it with.
We have to say now that we haven't got any money right now.
We know the situation.
Yeah?
You're all in the same boat. Do your tick till Friday.
Okay.
And then your bill's due Friday, please.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tick was a system of credit based on trust, and it kept the slum economy moving.
I'll put that in the book for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Like many poor Victorians who came to the slums, these residents face starting their new life already in debt.
Obviously.
You want bread?
Like, as a priority food, bread.
Bread.
And cheese.
And cheese.
It all depends how much it is.
And we've got rent to pay in 4 days' time. We've got rent. And if we don't pay the rent, I am not going to live in one of those other rooms.
We're going to have a bit of rope.
I know.
It's not going to happen. There's no way you can sleep like that doss house with a rope.
Do we make do with about the heat in that room tonight?
Yeah, we'll just have to all cuddle up. We'll just have to make do. I'd rather be cold,
And
right?
hungry.
And hungry and be able and pay the rent.
I can put it on the tick for you as long as it's paid before Monday.
And that's the rent day as well.
That's our rent day too,
It is
that's why.
indeed. Yeah, we're all in the same boat, to be honest.
Right.
You do feel as if you've got some responsibility to try and help these people. Definitely, yeah, that's hit me. Feel a little bit more responsible than I thought I would.
We decided not to have a fire because we didn't want to run up too much debt straight away.
It feels scary that you feel like you're in debt before you even get anywhere, you know, before you do anything. We're already in debt.
In 1860, London was a modern metropolis with a booming population. But there was little sympathy for those who were struggling. Poverty was seen as part of the natural order of things. You were either born poor or you fell into poverty because of your own moral failings. If you were poor, you simply had to work harder or endure.
I'm struggling now. That's on day one. I'm struggling now. I'm tired and I hurt. And all I want to do is go to bed.
It's not going to be very comfortable. It's going to be very cold. But hopefully we'll keep each other warm. I do feel very much isolated. The other families, they've got a male presence, whereas it's just the three of us. So it's a lot tougher.
Why are you jumping?
Sharing a bed's definitely going to be a challenge. I'm going to have to rise to it because I've got no other choice. So I think we'll sort of band together as a family and we'll probably get closer, to be honest.
A few minutes ago, I was like, where's the biscuits? And then I just remembered, like, oh no, we can't afford biscuits. And then I just felt a depressing feeling inside, like a ship's just sunk inside me.
Come on, you three. Don't forget. Time to get up.
It's their first morning in the slum.
Oh, you all right?
And with rent day already fast approaching,
I'm going to go and find some work.
Okay.
everyone has the same priority.
See you later. Chop.
Bye.
See you, girls.
Goodbye, Grandad.
Bye.
Good luck.
New arrivals had to find work fast. It was the only way to keep a roof over your head and provide for your family. The money they earn and the money they spend is based on Victorian wages and prices, converted to modern-day money, so they can get a feeling for a Victorian cost of living. As man of the house, 59-year-old Graham would have been expected to provide for his family. In the 1860s, Britain produced half the world's iron and cotton cloth, and 2/3 of its coal. The economy had made a seismic shift from rural to urban. People poured into London, Glasgow, Manchester, booming industrial hubs powered by an army of unskilled workers. In the East End of London alone, the 1861 census lists more than 10,000 men as general labourers. The work paid well, enough to keep a family warm and fed. But just as it is for some of today's zero-hour workers, there was no guarantee of work from one day to the next.
I am feeling the pressure. Without me earning the money, there'll be no food for the girls, my wife and my daughter.
Graham has a day of work at a local bell foundry. Here, church bells are made as they have been for the last 500 years, with every part of the process still done by hand.
This is your first job. Dig these 2 cores out.
Okay.
Use the crowbar to dig out the bricks. Don't break any of the bricks. Remove all the sand off the surface of the bell because we tune the bells, and anything that's left will make the tools go blunt.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
I'll leave you to it. Okay.
In the 21st century, Graham is retired from his job in a carpet shop. But for the Victorian poor, there was no such thing as retirement.
It is going to be a hard day of labour, but, you know, we need money. Without this wage, we can do nothing. You know, we've got to use it to pay the rent and pay the shop, which we've already got debt there, so it's hard work, but we'll do it.
In the slums, having an able body was a clear advantage. Andy.
Hello.
Got a few bits and pieces here. In 2004, Andy, a professional golfer, had his right leg amputated below the knee.
This is my specialist leg. This is what I use to compete and play all over Europe. So, I mean, this leg is really high-tech, really comfortable. I mean, have a feel.
Thing of beauty.
It is a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Andy wants to get a better understanding of what life would have been like for Victorians with a disability like his. This really is the Rolls-Royce of artificial legs of that time.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly see the craftsmanship that's gone into it.
These high-tech legs would have cost £20 Victorian pounds in 1860, equivalent to more than 2 years' rent in the slums. Somebody in your circumstances could not remotely have afforded to buy this. In Victorian times, you could have your leg cut off free of charge, but they wouldn't actually provide you with anything. Disability was more common and visible in Victorian society than it is today. Poorly regulated factories and docks were crammed with dangerous machinery, and injuries accounted for many amputations. Without x-rays or antibiotics, there was only a 50-50 chance of surviving surgery. And afterwards, most poor amputees had to make do with crutches or the most basic wooden leg. What kind of got you interested in this in the first place?
Just to see how somebody in my situation would have actually coped back then, what they had available, what they didn't have available, I think is...
This is the sort of thing they had available if you didn't have a lot of money?
Yes, indeed. It doesn't look very comfortable, does it?
Since you expressed an interest in actually trying one of these authentic ones, we got something which is kind of as close to authentic as we can make it, but which actually won't be too uncomfortable.
Okay.
So this is kind of a modern version of an old classic. Do you want to give it a go and see?
I would love to give it a go.
OK. It's the same shape as a Victorian peg leg, but this one's fiberglass and specially designed for Andy's stump. What do you reckon, then?
The cup is comfortable.
For a Victorian, obviously, that would have been absolutely hideous. The fit would have been terrible. The thing they used to do, because it fitted so badly, effectively, was they used to use turpentine to harden the skin. Have you heard of that?
No, I hadn't heard of that. No,
Can you imagine rubbing turpentine?
That really doesn't sound pleasant at all.
No. I guess if you've got a wooden thing there, you want as much sort of protection padding and whatever you can get. So it's not uncomfortable?
No, not uncomfortable at all.
It's just weird?
It's just weird and unstable.
Yeah.
I don't have a foot. Obviously, you use your foot to push off.
Yeah.
So I get no return from a foot. The whole point of doing this is to really see what it would have been like for myself in this time.
Yeah.
And this is the way to do it, isn't it?
This is lesson number one.
The lesson number one. It's not easy.
Quite. Next door, with Graham out at work, Heather and Alison Potter are learning what they would be doing in the 1860s to help make ends meet.
Do you put quite a lot of glue on? I don't think I've put enough glue on.
Slum rooms weren't just where people lived. These were the unofficial workshops of the city. Everything from buttonholes to billiard balls were made in people's rooms. This had its advantages for families like the Potters. Because though it was frowned upon for married women to go out to work, they could supplement their income from home.
Which bit are you doing? The drawer or the box? I think it's the box.
In 1861, Bryant and May opened a match factory in nearby Bow. it quickly became the largest employer of casual female labour in the area. As well as factory workers, it also employed women to assemble matchboxes in their own homes. Called piecework, often whole families would get involved. Heather's great-grandmother Annie was a matchbox maker, and she would have been expected to make up to 1,000 boxes a day.
It overwhelms me a bit at the moment, because half of me sees this, and then in my head I have how I live now. I mean, I'd probably be sat on the settee reading a Kindle halfway through the morning.
They must have just been real tough women, you know, fighters. They had to be, didn't they, to survive for themselves and for the children and families, really.
For single mothers with children to look after and fewer opportunities to earn, it's estimated that up to 1 in 12 Victorian women turned to prostitution. Piecework would have been one of the only ways to make an honest living.
Right, that's the lid.
Shazida and the twins are making fancy boxes for things like perfume and cosmetics.
So we need to start a production line here.
In their modern lives, Shazida and 10-year-old twins, Sadie and Saudi, live in Scunthorpe.
So what do we understand about the revolution?
They created machines.
So it was a big change, wasn't it?
Shazida works as an admin assistant and homeschools her children.
We literally do everything together. And you could say that I pretty much kind of like dedicated my life to the twins. It's very difficult being a single mum in the 21st century, so I want to experience how the Victorian single mothers lived, how they survived. It must have been really difficult. That's not going to stick together, is it?
Try putting a bit more.
In 1860, there were pieceworkers on every street in London's East End. A boxmaker would have worked a 16-hour day and been paid enough to buy a loaf of bread. It wasn't only women who worked from home. Although his rent is covered, with no one in the doss house, Andy needs an income to pay for food.
I am making handles for tools.
Furniture making, cane chair repairing and wood turning were all common types of piecework done by men.
This is one of my first attempts. I'm quite pleased with that, to be honest. It's going to take a lot of getting used to using this. It's hard on the leg. It's very hard on the leg.
Alongside the slum's unskilled workforce, East London was also a hub for trades, like tanning, embroidery and tailoring. Russell and his son James are off to find out how their Victorian predecessors made their living.
OK, Brown.
A bespoke tailor of high-end suits,
Yeah, I'm getting smaller.
Smaller?
Russell works in the heart of the City of London.
I love my trade of tailoring. I really am passionate about it, and I really want to find out how hard it was tailoring in the 1800s. Really get a big experience. I can't wait to do it.
The family live in Essex, where Mum Mandy combines a part-time job in human resources with looking after children, James and Rebecca.
I would like to say, like, yeah, we spend loads of time together as a family, but when you think about it, we don't. So I just love to spend more time together, you know what I mean?
Mandy's from a long line of Jewish tailors, and her family history is firmly rooted in the East End.
For me, it's just about understanding how the Victorians lived, how our ancestors lived. I really want to understand their struggles and spending proper time with Russell and the children and seeing how we cope.
Yes, or not,
Or not,
may
as
be.
the case may be, yeah.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Dr. Vivian Richmond is an expert in the Victorian textile trades.
This is Petticoat Lane. This is the heart of the rag trade.
Home to a street market since the 17th century, Petticoat Lane is where generations of tailors have bought their raw materials. While West End tailors worked with expensive fabrics, new clothes would have been alien to the East End poor.
So you're now in the rag trade, and your job will be to take these clothes away and make them into something else, or to mend them. This stuff here, these waistcoats, they'd be made into cloth caps. down here. We have some trousers.
They don't look savable to me.
You're going for practicality, not aesthetics here.
No, it's just shocked. I thought I'd be doing more technical stuff, more making stuff, or altering stuff.
The difficulty for Jewish tailors was that in their home countries, they were very often highly trained, highly skilled, but they arrive in England with nothing, literally nothing, many of them. And so they're going to be right down the bottom of the pile, and hence doing this kind of translating work and transformatory work with clothing.
By the 1860s, around 20,000 Jewish people lived in London, with more arriving from Europe all the time. Almost half made their living through tailoring.
Shocked. Really shocked. I'll be given a bunch of rags, try and turn into something someone's going to buy. I'm like horrified. I mean, this is a different end of the scale to what I'm used to working on. I mean, we normally make sort of court dress and tailcoats, and this stuff is just the bottom end when people have actually finished wearing it, and then we've got to make it for people to wear again. It's going to be a challenge, I think.
Graham has been hard at work at the Bell Foundry. He's done 4 hours without a break.
I never thought it'd be this physical. It's absolutely shattering. I think to finish the full day with nothing to eat this morning on an empty stomach is going to be really, really tough. I didn't realise how difficult it would be. So what's keeping me going is the family at home. I've got to do it. I've just got to carry on.
Man,
yeah?
The last lot. Can we divide up the stuff into what's got to be done?
That's what I was just going to say. That's
Trousers.
what I've just been doing. I'm already ahead of you.
Oh, yeah? OK.
Yeah. Look, waistcoats all in this pile, and washing just throw on the floor. What is that?
Probably sick. What's in a fight? It's blood.
You're joking.
Just put it in the washing.
And I've got to wash that?
Yeah.
Russell hasn't hand-stitched anything for years. But although he won't have modern machines, he will have help. In the 21st century, Rebecca and James go to private school. Here, they'll be put to work.
We're going to do all the caps first. Then we'll start working on the trousers. And the shoes, I think, are just a polish up and a bit of cardboard at the end.
Yes, boss.
Rather than repaired, shoes were simply patched up and painted black to hide the holes.
In my shop, I've got all the machinery, the correct tools for the job, they're all fit for purpose. Here, in the slum, they're using the bare minimum of stuff. It's all done by hand. It's been really tough for them, as I'm finding out myself now.
Andy is also finding out just how hard slum work would have been.
One little slip, and it's ruined. It's absolutely ruined. If I feel like I failed, I feel like I failed. I don't like failing at anything, nothing. But this has beat me. Back in 1860, if they were disabled and doing something like this, they couldn't do it, they're gone. How these guys did 600 or 1,000 of these every single day. I've done 7. And these guys did it, and if they didn't do it, they didn't eat. They didn't eat, they died.
Graham is finishing his shift. He's earned £10, the equivalent of a Victorian labourer's daily wage.
Here's your wages for today.
Thank you.
Nearly enough for his £13 rent.
Any work tomorrow?
Be here at 7:45. Don't be late.
OK, thanks.
But after 8 hours hard labour, he's on his last legs.
Hiya. All right.
Yes. Yeah, so, did you get any money?
Yes. £10.
Oh, amazing. How was your day?
Hard work. Very hard, yeah. Never worked like that before in my life. But it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. The sweat was absolutely pouring off me. It was dripping down. Yeah.
Oh, you did well.
Yeah. For everyone else, slum life is in full swing.
Life in a Victorian slum was undoubtedly harsh, but it wasn't all doom and gloom.
Teeming with people.
Yes.
It was noisy, filthy, and smelly. Humans and animals lived cheek by jowl. Every room and yard was used for work. The birds are making a cheap East End classic, smoked kippers. These were often made in privies, an ideal makeshift smokehouse with the added bonus of disguising the smell of human waste.
I was thinking £1.20 a portion.
I know, but we don't want to put anything more on tick, you see.
No.
OK, then.
Till after market.
No. And I don't like kippers.
And he doesn't like kippers.
Hello, Shaz, how's it going? All right? Yeah. We were going to do a kipper, if you wanted one.
All right, yeah, you can put me down. Thank you.
Okie dokie, no problem. I'll see you later.
Shaz wants to put £1.20 on the tick for one dinner.
Yeah.
And she's sure she wants that.
Yeah.
You want to take that risk? OK. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
First one finished.
Yay, it's really good. It's brilliant.
With no way of earning anything until the weekend market, the Howarths are keeping their debts to a minimum.
I'm really hungry right now. This morning, the bread we had left from the night before we gave to the kids. So Russ and I haven't actually eaten anything since yesterday evening when we had a quarter of a slice of bread. I actually feel exhausted, but we've got so much to do ready for market that I'm not even sure if Russ and I are going to have time to get to bed at a decent hour because we've got to get all this stuff done.
You've no idea how good an egg sandwich can taste. Honestly.
I have got a half slice of bread with butter.
It is good to eat because I'm hungry.
It's early, but the Howarths have already been up and working for an hour.
Halfway through, touch it.
And Taylor Russell has turned teacher.
That's it, lovely, perfect.
Like that.
That's it.
Too much?
That's fine.
We've pulled together. He's taught me how to sew. He's taken the patience and the time. Whereas in our real life, we're so busy that we're like ships in the night. And now we've come together again. And actually we've realised we still do love each other and we still do like each other, which is great. It's actually quite nice, two of us just sitting here.
Yeah.
Just sewing.
I've got to stand up, I'm sorry.
Why standing up?
Yeah, I've got to.
Upstairs, things aren't going so well for the Potters. Graham's back has seized up, and there's no way he'll be able to go back to work at the Bell Foundry. Their only other potential income is from the matchboxes, which is unlikely to pay the rent.
I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They take a whole day to dry. No, it's just not going to happen.
In the 1860s, the loss of the main breadwinner accounted for nearly 2/3 of families forced to seek help from the Victorian authorities.
What is enlightening is how quickly your situation can change. Dad can't work today because he's injured. And the matchboxes were a bit of a failure. We've got to start thinking how we're going to find the next few pennies.
The family is in dire straits. They've no option left but to send the children out to work.
I'm confident that we'll get the rest of the rent today.
Yeah, I'm confident you will as well.
Oh, she's amazing. Good girl.
Heather and Olivia are going to bunch and sell watercress.
Now we know how much we have to earn. I'm just determined to get that much money, and I think we will.
Children were considered economically viable by the age of 7 or 8 and were as important to the East End workforce as their parents. Places like Covent Garden, Victorian London's main fruit and veg market, were filled with street sellers, many of them children. Watercress was a popular street food that could be bought for pennies and sold for a slim profit.
Excuse me, would you like to buy any watercress?
Their working day would have begun as early as 4 a.m. and gone on for up to 16 hours.
Watercress, 9p a bunch. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's so good. I'm doing this at uni, 1800.
How are you?
Yes. Hi, excuse me, would you like to buy any watercress?
Thank you.
Cheers. Must have been hard seeing your children go out and knowing that they've got to do this.
Is that all right?
That's perfect.
It makes me feel angry because if it was snowing and there weren't many people out, you just had to do it anyway.
We've done really well. We've got a little bit of money to take back.
Whoa, look at that.
I know, we've done really well.
Back at the slum, Shaz and the twins have been making fancy boxes all day. She'll be paid at the end of the week for each box which meets the required standard.
Good evening, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I've come for some soup.
Right. How did your boxes sell?
I haven't sold any yet,
Oh,
so
right.
I've just been making them. So.
Oh, it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is sort of get a grip, as you can see, with how much we've put on the tick so far.
All right, okay.
And how much we can really sort of lay out again until everybody starts getting paid. So.
Right, I'm hoping that we'll be able to sell all the boxes, so we should be able to pay off the debt.
Right.
Hi there, how are you?
Good evening, I'm fine,
good?
thank you.
We can do 1 cup of broth on top of this, but I
Okay.
really can't go much further than that. We're really going to need to be careful from now on.
Right, okay, yeah.
Okay.
With their own rent due at the end of the week, the birds are wrestling with their responsibilities.
Okay, if we had put it on...
You know, we'll have to, like, keep our eye on them, see what they make today, and hopefully they can move those goods.
Yeah, but this is the sort of thing that would have happened a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do
yeah.
you do?
It's a gamble.
Single mum with 2 children, they have to eat and they have to have the wherewithal to make money. How do you... What if they can't pay at the end? What do you do?
I don't know.
Hello?
Come on.
The Potter girls are back from Covent Garden.
We got £10.
Good work.
We can pay our rent now.
You did all right.
You've done really well.
And to get £10, I mean, that's made me feel
Yeah.
a little bit easier.
Much better. Much better.
I think you've done good, missus.
Good evening, Potters, how are you?
The family celebrate with their first hot food in days.
We've got some soup on today, which hopefully you'll like to purchase.
We made £10 selling cress.
£10, that's nice to know. So would you like to pay up tonight for what you already owe?
We haven't brought any money down with
Well,
us.
you're more than welcome to go and get it.
Paying off their tick has cost the Potters £7.96, putting them short of their rent once more.
I think that's the circle you can't get out of, because these things just happen, and that's the ongoing misery, because at the end of the day, you know you've got to wake up into it again the next morning, and it's another fight then to survive.
It's market day.
There we go.
We went to bed quite late last night, and then so we were up early again this morning because time is money, and I'm shattered, so unbelievably tired. What we've got finished is what we can sell, and we have to make rent, and we have to pay the grocer.
Got quite a bit to get done. Mandy's working on the shoes. I'm working on the caps, and I've got some alterations to do afterwards. Hopefully we'll sell it,
and we haven't eaten yet. And actually, it's non-negotiable. You just give the children the food. And I'm sure my ancestors would have been more concerned for my grandparents. To be fair, they were successful in that because my mum had a very nice life and I've got a very nice life. So what they sacrificed there to work so hard and install all that has paid off. It's just a shame they're not here to see it, sorry. Sorry. Sorry, that came all of a sudden, sorry. I wish they could be here to see me do this, so that they know that I understood what they go through. I just need a tissue.
You need a tissue? Roll lining. Roll lining. This will do.
Not going to use that, are you? You're not going to shout at me for using it?
Use that. You can use that bit. This time.
Oh. OK, we need to get on.
Andy's preparing the doss house in the hope he'll soon have paying customers. So far, he's earned nothing, and it's taking its toll.
I'm starving. I've got some lunch. What I saved from yesterday, from my sandwich last night. Need a bit of fluff. But I don't want to get into too much debt, and that's what's worrying me. That's what's making me a bit emotional, to be honest. Sorry. I really don't know how they survived. This whole experience is massively humbling. When you think you've got it hard and you haven't.
It's payday for the piece workers, who would have hand-delivered finished goods to the factories.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
See you later.
Wages were low and standards high. Any products that didn't make the grade would be rejected. Most of Shaz's boxes weren't up to scratch. She's only made £2.
I don't think it will cover my rent, and I don't think I'll be able to pay off my food debt. And I feel really low. It's just really grinding me down now.
I couldn't imagine living like this forever. It's unlivable.
The Potters, too, have been paid the going rate for the 25 matchboxes they did manage to make.
You'll never guess how much we got. We got £1.
So we got market day today. We've got kippers.
We've got kippers. We've got 2 lots of soap.
With their customers hard up, even the shopkeepers are feeling the pinch.
It looks like the market is becoming more and more important for us to be able to earn enough to pay our rent. Everybody's being very conservative with what they're buying from us. We haven't sold very much, so that's going to make or break us, I think, at this point.
The weekend market was crucial before rent day came round on Monday.
It's 9p for a bunch, or we're selling 4 bunches for 34p.
From leftover food to second-hand shoes. These markets were a way to turn any meagre asset into cash.
Right, are we on 1 or 2?
I'm 2 cabbages.
So that's...
The birds are trying to shift their surplus stock.
This has got tallow in it, yeah, this has got tallow in it.
The Potters are hoping to scrape together the rest of their rent from the last of the watercress.
It's looking a little bit dry now.
Well, these are handmade.
How much you want for that?
£3.40, thank you.
And after a week of hard work, it's been the Howarth's first chance to earn.
And I actually iron this with a proper old hot iron. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Thank you. These are all hand-stitched, handmade from waistcoats.
Lovely.
I think it's because, like, East London, you forget it's, like, with a working class area. Obviously, a lot of people have moved in now and it's all, like, up and coming and, like, trendy, which is what we know of it. And you forget that, actually, this was how it started.
It's just really interesting how they lived and the struggles they had day to day. What amazed me, they've got to think of their rent first before they can eat.
Come on, miss, got to eat tonight. £3.40.
I felt a little bit sad, and it made me think how lucky we are and we take so much for granted.
5, yeah. Thank you very much.
And good health to you. Thank
I'm
you.
not even going to haggle you for the price, because it's a good price.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
Thanks.
Nice.
As the market draws to a close, everyone is counting up, ready for tomorrow's reckoning with the rent man.
16.
Yes! Yes! Rent's paid.
I've never been so happy.
No, I know. As a family together, achieving something like that is just amazing.
It's been immense. It's been absolutely immense.
So we've got £33.13. Rent covered.
Just. Well done.
That is close, though.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks quite a bit, doesn't it, there?
Yeah, we did really well.
60, 70, 80, 90.
Well done,
£9.56 we've got.
That's brilliant.
Well done, you all. Well done. That's excellent.
We've had a really good day, haven't we?
Yeah.
I feel triumphant.
What does that mean?
Victorious.
Oh.
Between them, the 5 members of the Potter family have covered their rent. But they're not sure everyone's doing so well.
£80, £2, £2.40.
Shaz next door. We're not sure about her rent.
60.
I'm worried about Shaz, yeah.
I really felt for her. I thought she looked really tired and worn out this morning.
She looked, yeah.
I think it's been really hard for her.
In the East End, rent day was known as Black Monday. Keeping a roof over your head depended entirely on whether you could settle up. If the slum dwellers failed to pay rent collector Andy, he could evict them from their rooms.
It's a horrible feeling to have to say to someone, I'm going to have to take this off you. It's going to be really, really hard.
Andy can also earn money by running the doss house, if there's anyone in it.
These are just narrow mattresses that I've got to fill with straw to use as padding, and then that goes into the coffin beds that I've made. And then people can come and sleep in that if they want for a princely sum of 4p. But I'm hoping they do, because that's where I'm going to make my money. I'm absolutely starving. How we doing, guys?
You all right?
Possibly your least favourite day of the week?
Yes.
As the Howards have shown, some could succeed in the slums. They've paid their bill at the shop and their rent. They'll eat something other than bread tonight, and they'll have money left over for the week ahead.
Really well done. You deserve it.
So there you go.
You deserve
Thank
it.
you. Relief, relief, relief. See you later.
Cheerio.
Cup of tea. See
Bye
you
now.
later.
First rent paid.
First rent paid.
How was the day at market for you?
It was okay.
It was okay.
With some customers having paid off their tick and modest sales, the birds scrape together their rent.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
You counted it all out by your fair hands yourself, have you?
Yeah.
Perfect.
The Potters, too, end their first week just free of debt.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
In the 1860s, anyone who failed to pay their rent faced either the doss house, the workhouse, or the street. Shaz's below-par piecework has left her with almost nothing.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so we were looking for £8.16 today. Is that
Right.
is that going to be okay for you?
No, I can pay £2.
£2.
Yeah.
Okay. This puts me in a horrible position. So one way I can resolve this is to ask you guys to leave and to put you up in the doss house. Now, I don't want to do that. I really don't. I mean, obviously, you're nowhere near the rent, and you've got Ticky in the shop. If you have money in 2 days, I would like a proportion of that to come back off your rent. And if you're happy to do that, then that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
All right, then, thank you.
No problems. When I first found out I was going to be the rent collector, it was, haha, what fun. I get to go around and take money off these people, and if they ain't got the money, I'm going to kick them out, and I'm running the doss house. And yeah, it's not like that in real life. That was tough with Shaz.
I thought I'd be able to accomplish something, but obviously I've been defeated. I think that's a word by society or the era that I'm living in. It's just I'm just in a vicious circle here. I've not given up just yet. There's still a bit of fight in me left.
It's the end of the residents' first week of 19th century slum life. Living here during Victorian times would have been tough and unpredictable. Work was harsh, wages often appallingly low. And yet, as our slum dwellers have shown, somehow people found a way to survive.
Being at the top of the pecking order within the slum, I do feel torn between wanting to help people and not help them. Chat a little bit because we'll probably lose money on her. So all I can say from that is next time I'll try and be a little bit more astute and, I don't know, not give her so much.
People in the Victorian East End, you know, they didn't make the choices they did because they wanted to, it was because they had to. You know, and they were faced with life and death choices that we don't get faced with today.
Day after day, week after week, generation after generation, this is pretty much what their life was like. This cycle of poverty that they lived in.
I think life is on a knife edge all the time in this sort of environment because you can't earn enough money to be able to put things away for next week because you've got to survive. You've got to buy stuff. We need to start building up a strength again to be able to carry on next week and again start to get the rent.
I'm just really happy that we managed to do it and we won't be going into the DOS house. Not today.
Not today.
What happens when you work hard?
You get pies.
Before your ancestors, they were just names, but now actually living what they went through, it's insane. Like, this is relentless. You have to be so resilient to do this, and they must have been the strongest people out there.
The slum, it looks miserable, it stinks, it's everything you could put, everything you imagine is the slum. What you can't see is the sense of happiness and community that's here. We're just together, all of us together. It's great.
The first hot food we've really had. It's really nice.
I thought we had a bad time. I grew up in the 1950s and we didn't have any money, but this is a whole different situation. I will never say that I lived in poverty again, ever, because I didn't, because this is poverty.
Next time, it's the 1870s.
Nice, isn't it? Look.
And a new decade
22 pairs of trousers.
When's it due?
Oh my God.
Demands a whole new workforce.
He treats us like employees, not family.
Until an economic nosedive.
I have nothing.
I'm not taking the food out of their mouths to feed her children.
In you come.
And new arrivals.
You got any work today?
A young fella I can take in.
Push some to the edge.
Nothing to eat. Terrible.
It's great. The Irish are moving up.
Victorian home life for the better off, as depicted through the paintings of the period, with Jeremy Paxman on BBC4 at 10:30. And next here on BBC2, new comedy from Morgana Robinson, Celebrity Talent Management at the Agency.